I welcome the opportunity to participate in this. It's notable that of all the senior ministers in the Taoiseach, the only written speech was from the Taoiseach. That's significant on such a serious topic. And I totally agree with the Taoiseach when he says, towards the end of his speech, we should all stand together against fear, hate and conspiracy theories. We should do so on a non-partisan, non-ideological basis, a nation against racism. I absolutely agree with him. However, he gives double messages, as all of the senior ministers have given. As a Taoiseach, I believe that we should welcome and protect those who come to our shores legitimately, because it is the best way of honouring our story. What does that mean, Minister? What does legitimately mean? Because I understand people are entitled to come here to seek asylum, and there's a process, and I'll come back to that. And he also makes another statement in relation to it means being firm with those who come here with a false story or under false pretences. And criminal gangs should never get to decide who enters our country. This is for us to decide and not human traffickers. So what's happening here is a double message. I want to pay tribute to your work. I think you have done your best in a very difficult situation with over 70,000 people from the Ukraine, not to mention the other countries. So let me thank you for your work. I do not think there's been a coordinated response, and I think that really captures that really captures the double speak that's coming out. While people on this side of the House, supposedly on the left, you could keep telling us, are adding to the fear. Quite the opposite is happening here. There's an onus on you to stop this use of language. Now, you haven't used it, and here again I'm addressing you, but you're in government with those who have used it, and it's nothing short of shocking. You've seen the Irish Refugee Council sharing their concerns. They've written to the government, they've pointed it out to us. And on legitimate, just alone, they tell us that somebody arriving without a legitimate basis has to be processed. So you're setting up false arguments here and false fears on top of the most serious problems in relation to housing and health. And we have spoken about this repeatedly from the first day I came into this stall in February 16. The housing was major. And now on top of that, we're allowing for division. They get everything. Let me just look at this, that they get everything. And again, this has already been referred to by a Sinn Féin TD, the Irish Refugee Council, actually pointing out facts and figures. There is an asylum seeker has no entitlement to social housing or to be on the social housing waiting list. An asylum seeker has no entitlement to children's allowance, and they go through all of the myths that have been permeated to say this is not accurate. And I'm glad you're nodding your head, but unfortunately those above you are not nodding their head. They're given mixed messages, like I said. I can't say it often enough. It's really dangerous what's happening here in relation to this. There are genuine concerns on the ground in relation to housing crisis and health. Personally, I was absolutely sickened to my core to hear a group of people shouting out, out, out at a direct provision centre. That anger should be directed to where it should be directed if they're unhappy with the government, which I am, but not to be shouting outside, no, no, no. I've had the privilege of going to Canada on a regular basis because of family over there, and my brother, older than me, never tires of telling me that back in Black 47, which might appear a long time ago, but it's still very much in our heads, Toronto had 20,000 people, 20,000 in Toronto, and into the shores of the lake came 38,560, almost double the population of Toronto. And the worst year for Irish people, and they were welcomed. And we're here now with a background of direct provision, and we have a two-tier system, and you know that, and you justify that by saying it's a EU directive. So somebody from the Ukraine do not have to go through the same process. And of course the war is deplorable. I have deplored it on record. I'm not going to waste my valuable few minutes because Ireland has a different role here. We're a neutral country. Yes, give all the humanitarian help we can, but we're a neutral country. And not one government speaker has spoken today about the need to use our voice to stop this mad war. It's just utterly mad. And now, on top of that, we have a divisive policy. Ukrainian refugees, good, give them every possible help. Refugees or asylum seekers from anywhere else, no, put them through the ringer. And that's what we're doing. And you know we're doing that. And we're doing it on the basis of all your good work. That we had the white paper. Prior to that, we had Catherine Day. Prior to that, we had the Mahan report. And he pointed out that the biggest problem, amongst many problems at that time, and it was a moderate report, was the failure to process the applications quickly. And here we are, 22 years after direct provision, and we're still dividing and conquering and othering people in direct provision and making it extremely difficult for them, and allowing myths to develop. And I find it deplorable. And direct provision, of course, can't end now. And it was the biggest problem I had with the report from Catherine Day and the white paper, was the failure to recognise the problem well before the Ukrainian war, that there was a housing crisis. So how are we going to end direct provision? And I'm one of the advocates for ending it. It's inhuman and wrong. And the white paper indeed acknowledged that it failed to respect dignity and human rights, direct provision does. So we're in agreement about this. So let's stop the divisive politics. Let's treat all asylum seekers the same, whether they're from Somalia, from the Yemen, from Afghanistan. Let's treat them the same. Let's rise to our obligations. And equally with that, let's use our voice to get peace, to deplore this war, because at some stage we have to sit down. At some stage we have to negotiate, or Ukraine and Russia has to negotiate. And we have a particular and significant and important role as a neutral country, one of the few left. And I make no apology for not joining a consensus in relation to war. I won't do it, and I won't do it ever.